All right. Okay, so we left off yesterday with an interesting clare from the Gemara. So we had said, and this is coming up in the next parak, but we had said that that the girl, when meaning there's no the only knas is by naira according to all opinions. And remain the chum have a machlokes whether there's knas if a guy rapes or coerces a katana, right? But we said that if he's ma'anis her when she's a katana, and then the bezdin happens when she's a bogeres, then she gets to keep the money, right? I mean, you don't go with when the action was, you go with when the fine is placed. That's what it said. So then we had this question: what happens if she's not alive anymore? So if she's not alive anymore, but when the din happens, she would theoretically be a bogeres. So we asked the kasha, what would be the din then? That was the shaila. So the only way that that's possible is if she was raped when she was 12 years old. Now we know that naira only lasts 6 months, right? Then she becomes bogeres. So it has to be that she was raped, then she got pregnant, and then she had a child, right? Because what was the whole din of her, whether she's a bogeres in the grave? That whole din had to do with that whether her child will yashin her because she's dead. Right? So how is it possible that she had a child? So that's going to be the Gemara's kasha. So we started mamash on the top of the daf. Right? Because again, we had said that the nafkamina is if we go with when she was a naira, so the father gets the money. Right? When the father gets the money, but when she's supposed to get the money, then her son is supposed to yashin her. So the Gemara asks, Umi ma'abra, is it possible that she got pregnant? And we had this Gemara at least twice in Yavamas. Umi ma'abra, is it possible she got pregnant? There's 3 types of women who are allowed to use a moch. A moch means something soft inserted inside her during intercourse, so that it will block the sperm from going up into the uterus. So there's 3 women that are allowed to use birth control. Elohain, Ketana, a girl who's a Ketana, bogeres, and a pregnant woman can use birth control. Menika, a nursing woman. Ketana, Shemet Tisava Vatama. So Ketana, maybe she'll get pregnant and then she'll die, because a small body like that cannot withstand the pregnancy. Bogeres, Shemetasa, Obra, sandal, because maybe the Obra will become a sandal. It'll get squashed, by meaning maybe she'll get pregnant, and that second pregnancy will kill the first pregnancy. Minika, Shematigma Laspana, a nursing woman, because maybe she'll have to stop nursing her baby, and because she's pregnant, and then the baby obviously won't live. A katana means from when she's 11 until she's 12, meaning before the yom echad. And meaning, I'm sorry, so from 11 years old in a day till 12 in a day. That's the time that she has to use the birth control, because that's when she can get pregnant. Less than that, there's no concern she's getting pregnant. No 11-year-old is getting pregnant. And more than that, it's healthy for her to get pregnant. So there's no need for birth control, only from age 11 to age 12. That's the mayor. Whether it's this one, Mishameshes Kedarka, she's Mishameshes Kedarka Vayleches, and she just goes. So the Chachamim take a very hard line over here. They say that a woman doesn't have to go on birth control. Hashem will take care. Because Hashem watches the foolish. Right? Okay, so we had this a few times that we discussed this. So now, either way, what you see like this, that how is she going to get pregnant? Yeah, because she's not. How is she getting pregnant and then having this baby within 6 months? It has to be 6 months, because otherwise she has the baby. She's a bogeres. She gets to keep the money, anyways. Actually, she doesn't get the money at all. I'm sorry. And if you're going to say, okay, maybe she got pregnant when she was a naira at 12, but either because she naira and she had a baby when she was a naira, The Gemara says, is it possible to have a 6-month pregnancy? The difference between being a naira and a bogeres is 6 months. So, and you can't have a pregnancy that's only 6 months. And maybe he means that less than 6 months it can't be. But you could have, meaning there's nothing less than by a naira of 6 months, but she could be a naira for longer, meaning she doesn't become fully mature and for maybe 9 months, and that's when she had the baby. That can't be, because it says ha'ela ka'amar. It says only 6 months. A naira is only a naira for only 6 months. So therefore, how is it possible that this woman they were ma'anasur when she was a naira, and she had a baby when she was a naira, and then the gemar din of the bezdin that he has to pay the knas is only after she was 12. It's impossible. Ella, so now the gemara changes the shaila. The shaila wasn't whether this girl becomes a bogeres in the grave and she gets to keep the money and it goes to her child. This was the shaila. Yesh bagar bekever upoka out. Do we say that she's a bogeres in the kever and the father gets removed, and then there's no knas at all? Meaning the Gemara shaila, the shaila was who gets the knas? Does the child of this dead girl get the knas, or does the father get the knas? Now the Gemara is changing and saying no. Maybe the father doesn't get the knas and nobody gets the knas, right? Why? Because meaning once she's dead, right, there's no taina anymore for the father. Yeah, meaning the person that's part of this din is no longer alive, so that person can't take in the best. There's no baga, and the father is not removed from the situation. So that's the way the shaila was asked. Not as to whether she's definitely not getting the knas. The question is, does the father get the knas? That's one way of looking at it. Rav Ashi, Rav Ashi's shaila was he asked it this way: Misa oisa bogeres, ayin oisa bogeres. Maybe the actual misa of dying makes it like a bogeres. Meaning, what's pshat in bogeres? Because once she becomes a mature adult, she's no longer under her father's jurisdiction. So the same thing with death. Death, she's certainly no longer under the father's jurisdiction. So maybe he doesn't have to pay the knas. Again, Rav Ashi, or does it not make bogeres? So that was the shaila. So the Gemara says Teiku. All right. So now, just something to remember, that if you remember from the end of the daf yesterday, it said that whatever was clear to Abaya was a shaila to Rava. Right, meaning Abaya was very clear that that once she dies, the father gets nothing. But Rava here, based on this question, is not sure. Right, because if he was sure like Abaya, then what would be the shaila here? Once she dies, that's it. The father's out of the picture, right? But since Rava asked us as a question, and he didn't say definitively, so that means that Abaya, what was simple to Abaya, was a shaila to Rava. Fine. So, then the Gemara asks, let's say, so he was ma'anasur, and then she got engaged before the din. Right? So he was boiler, and then she got engaged, not to him. She got engaged to somebody else. So again, we said yesterday that somebody with erisin does not get the knas. So here, the maisa happened, the rape happened before she was engaged, and the din only happened after. So then, how do we look at that? So what's the din? So he said, "Miksiv b'nosan lavi hanara asher loy arusa." Does it say that he gives the knas to the father of the naira who was not engaged? Doesn't say that, right? It says asher loy arasa, meaning so we don't care what happened if she was engaged or she not engaged. Where we only care about what happened when the rape actually was. When the rape was, she was single. Therefore, we don't care that she got engaged after. That's the way the Gemara is saying it. So the Gemara asks, if that's the case, according to you, let's say he raped her. And then she got married, not engaged. She got married. La'atzma, then the money goes to her, right? Does it say in the pasuk that you give it to the father of the naira that's not married? Right? So you're saying since the pasuk doesn't say asher loy nesua, so then that means that then why should she get the money? The pasuk doesn't say you give it to a girl who's not married, right? Again, the answer from the Gemara before was that it doesn't say in the pasuk give the money to a girl who wasn't engaged. It doesn't say that. It says give the money to a girl who wasn't married. I'm sorry, it doesn't say that either. It doesn't say the pasuk doesn't say give it to a girl who wasn't married or give it to a girl who wasn't engaged. It doesn't say either one of those. So why should a girl who gets married after she was raped, why should she get to keep her money? If the one that was engaged, that got engaged after she was raped, doesn't have to keep the money, so the one that gets married shouldn't either. So when answers Hachi Hashta, who says that we're comparing marriage to engagement the same? Hasam, might seem over there, where she gets married, since when she becomes a bogeres, that takes her out of her father's rishus, and marriage also takes her out of her father's rishus, meaning a girl is only considered under her father's rishus, calls man that she's a naira, which is up to 12 and a half. Once she's a bogeres, her father has no control over her. And once she gets married, even if she's less than a naira, even if she's 10 years old, once she gets married, she goes out of her father's rishus. So ma bagros bagra. So just like by bagros, where somebody was ma'anis her when she was a naira, and then she grew up. So then before the bezdin, so la'atma she gets to keep the knas money. After suin, ba'olav this is la'atma. So to nesuin, if he's ma'anis her, then she gets married, then the money goes to her. But this getting engaged, take a girl out of her father's rishus. Again, does it take her totally out of her father's rishus? We learned in the Mishna, naira hamurasa, a woman, a naira, a 12-year-old that gets engaged, her father and her husband have to take care of her nadarim. Right? We had this a couple of times where a woman who's engaged makes a neder. So since she's engaged, she's controlled by her husband and her father. So if she wants somebody to be matter her neder, she needs to have her husband do it and her father do it. So you see that a naira, even though she's engaged, she's still under some sort of power of her father. So therefore, we say that when she's engaged, if she's raped and then she gets engaged, still the money goes to her father because she's still a little bit under the jurisdiction of her father. But if she was raped and then she got married, then she keeps the money from the knas and not the father. Right?
What?
Okay.
What does Nachman Bar Yitzchak do with this?
Nachman Bar Yitzchak that what?
We had it yesterday's daf. He Dr. learns that Asher Lo Yarusa. Abaya set her over here. Miksiv Asher Lo Yarusa. Says Asher Lo Yarusa.
Are you talking about from yesterday?
Said yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says that we do learn Asher Lo Yarusa.
Well, that was Arus. No, that was Arusa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's from before the rape. That's from before they were ma'anisah.
That's how he reads the pasuk. If you can read the pasuk that way, what's Abaya's time?
No, but I'm saying that's if she was engaged before the rape. No.
True, that's what Rav Yitzchak's talking about. But if you can read the pasuk that way, then Abaya doesn't have a taina here.
I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure how he's going to say it. Yeah, I hear that. Okay, so Zok the Mishna, yeah? I'm a father. Yeah, so the Mafata, nois the shloisha dvarim. A Mafata gives, he has to pay three things. Ba'inus arba. So if he, what do we touch on Mafata? I always touch a coerce, but what is it? There's another word.
Seduce.
There you go. Thank you. Right? So Mafata, if he seduces her, which means that she does it willingly, nois and shloisha, he has to give three different payments. Three different payments. Ba'inus arba, and Ba'inus gives four. What are they? Amafata, nice and boishes. He has to give for her embarrassment, upagam, and why she's worth less, uknas, and he has to give the standard 50 knas. Moisef alav Ainus. We add on to that Ainus shenois and asatzar, that he also has to give the pain because since he raped her, so there's pain. Ma bein Ainus and Mafata. So what are all the differences between him raping her or seducing her? Ainus, an Ainus, nice and a satzar. The Ainus gives pain, but Mafata ain't a nice and a satzar. There's no tsar because he seduced her, so she did it willingly. Ainus, nice and miyad, the one who rapes her, so he has to give her the 50 shekel right away. But Mafata look yaitzi, and the Mafata has to give it when he divorces her. Ainus shaisa ba'tzitzai. Ainus has to drink his otzotz. Literally means his pot. Right? What does that mean? He doesn't have a choice. The Ainus has to stay married to her. He cannot back out. But Mafata, but the guy that seduced her, if he wants to get divorced, he's allowed to get divorced. But so those are the three differences between it. One is the Ma'anis pays tsar, and the Ma'anis pays it right away, and the Ma'anis is stuck in the marriage. The Mafata doesn't have any of those. Right? So what does it mean? How do we understand that he drinks from his pot? Even if she's lame, he's suma, even if she's blind, even if she's full of boils, whatever, skin disease, then he has to stay married to her. But let's say she messes around, so it's a davar erva. So obviously he's not allowed to stay married to her. Or she's a mamzeres, so he's not allowed to marry her anyways. Then he's not allowed to stay married to her. And she should be to him for a wife. It has to be an isha that's right. And meaning, even though there's a mitzvah in the Torah, that when he rapes her, he has to stay married to her. But if Halacha says, the Torah says he's not allowed to stay married to her, either because she was promiscuous afterwards, or if she was a mamzeres, then basically the way the Gemara is going to say it, we're not going to say essay doicha loisaseh. We're not going to say that the mitzvah say is doicha loisaseh. The Gemara says tsar demai. What kind of tsar is there? So Amar Ravu Deshmuel tsar shechavta al gabi karka. The chayr, if he's being ma'anis her, so he threw her down on the ground. So there's a pain to throwing her down on the ground. So therefore, which you're not going to have by seducing. So therefore, he's going to be chayav. So Maskav Zera, Elameyato. Okay, sorry. So Maskav Zera,
God, I missed the bag of chips.
What?
I missed the bag of chips in the background.
See, we have sunflower seeds if you want. Anyway, so let's say he raped her on top of shirayin silk. So let's say on top of a mattress. So then there's no pain. So therefore he doesn't have to pay tsar. And we say, yeah, maybe taka. If he throws her on the ground, he causes her pain. If he doesn't throw her on the ground, then there's no pain. I'm not
a psychiatrist, but I would imagine the rape scenario being thrown on the ground is the least of the pain.
Right. No. So that goes under pigam and boishes. The chayra. Pain here would be physical pain. No, you're right. There's going to be the emotional and all that. But I don't know exactly where that gets cheshbon, but I would think that's part of the
tsar is the emotional pain.
What?
The tsar is not the emotional pain. That's
the Gemara clearly is saying here, tsar is not emotional pain. Tsar is physical pain.
And
right.
You can't get reimbursed for emotional pain?
Emotional pain is not pashut at all.
The therapy.
Therapy is not pashut at all.
Right.
It's very hard for the Hainti Gadol to hear, but it's not pashut at all that there's ripui. Maybe it goes on the ripui. But the Gemara here doesn't say that there's even ripui. The Gemara is not looking at it like it's ripui. Again, it's a different door. The way they approach this has to be totally different than our society.
It could be fakert. It could be because it's immeasurable. You can't measure that kind of. It's immeasurable.
That's tsar.
That kind of tsar is you can't pay for it. There's no value to it.
No, it goes on the ripui.
It's too much. Yeah, but even the ripui doesn't take care of all of it. Whereas you go for years of therapy and still have pain. The pain is too much to pay for.
Gemara is saying on a practical thing of pain. That's the issue. That's what he's saying.
No. Okay, we'll have to see.
If we're being practical here, nowadays nobody would ever let the person who raped somebody marry her. If we're really getting practical here.
Well, that's so tactical.
That's true.
What does that mean? You guys are getting all into the psychological. Nowadays, nobody would ever let the rapist marry the woman he raped.
Think we woke up a sleeping bear.
Right. It's up to her anyway.
You can't apply it to what we say nowadays. The whole psychological thing is nowadays for her also.
But that's the same as then. If she decided she doesn't want to, you can't force her to marry him.
I understand that, but there's a tzad to have her marry him.
Yeah, there's a tzad. If the father who's still able to marry her off figures there's no other option, he'll take that one.
And maybe he encouraged the rape.
Well, no, we're going to see that maybe it could be a scam. We're going to see in Amud Beis, it could be a scam for him to marry her when the father doesn't want. Okay, let's see how it goes by. So either way, so masculine or zera, maybe that would be because there's no pain. Maybe we can say yes, that's true. But Tanya, Shimon, Yudah, Shimon, Shimon, Oinus, Eina Mishalim, Ella Hatzar, and Oinus only pays for tsar. Why? Mipnei, what?
Es Hatzar. I think you said Ella Hatzar.
I said El. So okay, Oinus, Eina Mishalim, Es Hatzar, Mipnei, on Talmud Beis now, Shesoifelit Star, Tachas Baila. Right? Because in the end, she's going to end up having tsar from her husband. Whenever she voluntarily does these things, so she's also going to be have pain. So you can't start comparing bia ba'inus to bia baratzin. But clearly, what the tsar that we're talking about here is not tsar being thrown down on the floor. That is not doing. So how could that be the tsar?
What is shesoifelit star tachas balo? What does that mean?
That's because the first intercourse is usually painful. That's all.
So she's gonna have that with whoever she sleeps with.
Right.
Not just a rapist. If the first bia she has with her husband, she's gonna have the same pain.
Right. That's why Reb Shimon is saying that there's no tsar, because that tsar is inevitable. At some point, she's gonna have that tsar. Right. So you see, whatever it is, it's not inevitable that she's gonna be thrown to the floor. Right. It's inevitable. You hope. Right. It's inevitable that she's not gonna have the tsar from the intercourse. Right. So clearly, it can't be the tsar being thrown to the floor. So it's the tsar of opening the legs. What's that word? I'm on the side here. And you're opening your legs to anybody that passes by. This is obviously a musr to Klal Yisrael that basically they're just running after whatever shtusim that they want. So whatever it is, you see that's there's a pain for that. So Gemara says he helping the foot nami. So then if that's the case, the foot also is going to have the same pain. I'm comparing a mafuta. What is it comparing to? It's like somebody telling his friend, tear up my shirayan, my silk, my soft clothing, and then you go free. Meaning, I'm not gonna tie on you for that. So that's the same thing here, where she's asking for it and she's doing it willingly. So then it's not a pain. So Gemara says, Shali davua ninu. What do you mean Shali? How could she be Michael? The money goes to her father. We're saying that, she by the mafata, she's Michael, the pain. But the payment's supposed to go to the father, not to her. So how could she be Michael? So that can't be. The smart people. Yeah.
This 12-year-old girl is supposed to think that her body's not hers because the payment goes to her father?
Yeah. Yes.
What?
Why does that? I'm saying the father could sell her to whoever he wants as a slave.
That's true, but she's saying, "Take me." That's mine, not his. I mean, that's
no. Everything about her belongs to him.
It's just a weird cheshbon here. It's a very lamdish cheshbon, especially when you're telling a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
12-year-olds then are different than today. This whole thing is different.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna have to say. But I'm with Akiva on this one. Like, this is what bothers you. And selling her off at age 5 to as a, I'm saying, marry off to whoever he wants. Anyways. So Elo Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Ashi, Pikcha Sheben Oimres Mefuta Ein Lo Tsar. No, she has no tsar at all. So that's why there's no tsar for Mefata. For Ma'anis, there is tsar. For Mefuta, there's no tsar. So
why don't you just say that Anis is she's tense because she's tense because
that's essentially what we're saying now. That's essentially
that she's tense. Maybe it's painful. If she's not tense.
Yes, that's exactly what I think. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying now. There's no pain. There's no pain. It's willing. So the Gemara is asked, "Chazina de Isla." When we see that there is pain. Abaya, Amrli Aim, right? We knew that Abaya, this is Abaya's stepmother. Kimaya Chamimi Areshit the Karcha. That's like hot water being dropped on a bald guy's head. So it's a little bit of pain, but it's nothing really. Rav Amar Amrli Bas, Rav Chisda told him, that was his wife, Ki rived the Kasilta. It's like a shot, like being hit with, with a bloodletting needle. Meaning you feel a pinch, but nothing major. Papa Amar Amrli Bas Abasura, the daughter of Bas Arasura, told me, I guess that was the meaning, that you called your wife by your father-in-law's name, right? Kinama akushi bechinchi. It's like hard bread. Nama is like a hard bread. Akusha bechinchi. On the chinchi is on the mouth, the inside of the mouth, the palate, on the palate, right? So it hurts a little bit, but it's nothing major. So that's what we're saying. So again, just to recap, so the ma'anis has to pay tzar. Mefata does not have to pay tzar because there's no pain. Oh, we say there is pain. It's a very minimal pain. Fine. So then the Gemara says, "Ainis noisem miyad," and I'm a mefata gul shiyotzi. So ainis, if he's ma'aniser, he has to give the money right away. But if he, what do you call it again? He says
seduce.
Thank you. If he seduced her, then only once he gets divorced. So Gemara says, "Look, sheyotzi, when he divorced her, ishtahi is she his wife now? He didn't even marry her yet. You're jumping the gun, right?" So I mean, again, you're saying when if he's mefata her, so then when he gets divorced, then he pays. What do you mean? He hasn't even married her yet. So Rabbiya ema doesn't mean when they get divorced. When he decides he's not marrying her again, because a mefata has a choice, he doesn't have to marry her. So when he says I'm not marrying her, that's when he has to pay her the money. Tani nami achu, you have a braysa like that. That even though a mefata gives it, when he decides not to marry her, but the busha that she had to go through, and the begam what she's worth less, that he has to give immediately. And whether a guy's aynis, whether it's mefata, bein he or bein aviyah, yichayil la'akid. Whether it's her, whether it's her father, both of them could say, they don't want They don't want to get married to him. Right? That has nothing to do with what we were saying now, but that's the end of the braysa. Both the father and the daughter have the right of refusal. I guess that's how you would say it.
It's the other. You see here, the Torah does take her into consideration to something that normally she doesn't have the yichelos to, right? The father can marry her off normally, correct?
Oh, so yeah, so that's one of the. I think that's Taisus Kasha.
I'm saying so. Vice does. You see, the Torah takes her like what she went through into consideration.
Yeah, but there's a kasha. I mean, if the father's allowed to marry her off to whoever he wants, so how could she have a right of refusal? Right? How could she have a right of refusal if the father has the power to marry her off to whoever he wants? Right? That's Taisus Ainli. Ainli alavi hi atzma. That's Taisus kasha. How can you possibly say? Meaning, she walks in the door one day at age 11 or 12 years old. The father says, I just married you off. She says, to who? He says, to whatever. She says, I don't like him. He says, I don't care. Right? So why can't he do the same thing here? Yeah? Okay, whatever, that's the discussion. Okay, he says, you do miyun, well, it's all the places. Okay. Right. So then the Gemara asks, so we understand mafuta that the father and the daughter have the right of refusal. Because it says, it says if the mother will not, if the father, doesn't want, that only tells us that the father could say he doesn't want the guy to marry his daughter. But how about the daughter? Talmud Loimer, you mind, become Malcolm. It says you mind, which means in your mind, which means any type of refusal, even the daughter. But how about Einis? She's allowed to refuse because it says Veloisia, which means she should be to him for a wife, which means mitaita. It has to be her willingly. If she doesn't want to be his wife, then he's out. How do we know that the father could say that he doesn't let? Some Rabbi says, because we don't want the chayta to be niskar. Why? Why is he going to be niskar? Because if we don't let the father have right of refusal, let's say a guy goes to the he's dating a girl, he goes to the girl's father and says, can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? Right? He says, no, you cannot. I hate your guts. You know what he does? He takes her out to the car, he's ma'anis her, and now he marries her because the father has no right of refusal. Right? So in the practical, it has to be that the father could say no, because otherwise that's what every guy will do if he really wants to marry the girl and the father doesn't want it. Right? Just a practical thing. That's the way Abaye said. So Mafata, when he seduced her, she did it willingly. So the only one he went against was the father, because obviously the father does not want his daughter getting seduced. But even though she did it willingly, but the father and her can be ma'akid. But in Einis, where he was over on both, because neither one of them wanted, like kol shekain, shouldn't it be a kol shekain that they can turn him down? Okay, so we have two reasons. Abai had a practical reason, and Rava had a kavachem. So why didn't they want to say like each other? So Rava loyamar kabaya. Rava didn't want to say like Abai Kivin to come Shalom Knas, Lav Chayta Niskar. It's not going to be called a Chayta Niskar because the bottom line is you have to pay a Knas. In order to marry her, if he's going to do this shtick and the father doesn't let him marry his daughter, he's going to just rape her, but the bottom line is going to cost him 50 shekel kesef. So that should be enough of a deterrent. So that's why Rava did not like Abai.
Is that enough of a deterrent?
I guess it must be. They must not have had so much. It must be. I have to say according to. I would think not. Right, I would think not. How much of a deterrent is it? If you really love it, right? Love.
I mean, it doesn't sound like it.
Right.
Yes. Right.
There's quite a few people who try not to pay the ksuba. It's the same amount as a ksuba.
No, but it's 50 only.
It's 50 shekel, which is 200 zuz. We have any ramas. It's Kamaya Absulim.
Right, but I don't know if that's. Yeah, I hear. I don't know. But I know it's 50. Well, I mean, 50 is equal to Messiah. That's what you're saying. Yeah. So he has to pay it immediately. 15, 20 grand, but what's that when it's love, right, Tommy? Not any cheaper than making a fancy wedding, not any more expensive than making a fancy wedding, right? Yeah. So that's why Rava doesn't want to say like a baya. Baya lo yama karava. Mafata di matzi ma'aka. Mafata, she's able to push it off. Avia nami matzi ma'aka. The father can also push it off. Einus, but an einus di ulay matzi ma'aka, that he's not allowed to. He's not able to push it off. Avia nami lo matzi ma'aka. The father can't do it either. Okay, so that's why Baya didn't like the kavachim. Tani yidach will another braysa. Avu shamru einus naisim miyad. Even though the einus has to pay it right away, who ain't law of klum. When let's say he decides to divorce her, then he doesn't have to pay the ksuba because he already paid it. So Gemara asks, what do you mean then when he divorced her? We said he's not allowed to divorce her. So Ema kishatetze he ain't law of klum. When she gets divorced, meaning if she decides that she doesn't want to be married to him anymore, then she doesn't get anything.
She's deciding she doesn't want to stay married to him because he raped her?
No, she decided I'll marry him, and then she decides she doesn't like him.
But I'm saying, but she decided to marry him
right
after he raped her, and then she changed her mind and said, I don't want to stay married to him, so she gets nothing.
Correct. Well, she got the 50 shekel kesef for the rape, which is her ksuba, right? Or the close to it, or whatever it is. So therefore, she already got it. She's not going to get 2 ksubas.
Yeah, but if she ever gets divorced, she gets less money than she would have gotten. She would have been a basura.
Well, because she was a baula.
But yeah, because she was raped.
Yes, correct. That's we're going to see that in a minute.
So she's losing out at the end. If she
could be. Yes, but does she have a choice? Either way, she's a baula. Whoever she's going to be married, she's only getting 100.
I know, but here's the guy who did the crime.
True. But the bottom line is she's only going to get 100.
Why shouldn't she get 200? Why shouldn't?
Because she's not a basula anymore. She's not a basula.
Yeah, but he's the one who did it.
Didn't say it's fair.
Yeah,
no, not fair. Why?
No, I'm just saying it's not. It might not be fair, but that's the life facts are. She's not a basula anymore.
Right.
Well, what's his question? He already gave it.
He already gave it by the...
Before they got married, he gave it.
Right.
He gave the whole thing, not half.
50.
50 is 200. It's the same as the ksuba. The pasuk talks about shkalim.
Oh.
We talk about zuzim.
Okay.
Okay, whatever it is. But he does not have to pay another ksuba. So then Gemara says, Meis Yotza, let's say he dies. So now Yotza, Kesef, Knasa, B'Ksubasa. So again, the Kesef of the Ksuba, right? When a man dies, 200 zuz goes to the wife, but it already went out because he already paid the Knas. Right? Rabbi Yosef Yudaimer, Yesh la Ksuba Mana, she gets a Ksuba of 100. She still gets a Ksuba of 100. Okay? But what's the machlokes? Rabbana Sabri, time of my Tzkin Rabbana Ksuba. Why did the Chama make this alter kind of Ksuba? Right? So that a guy shouldn't just marry a woman, live with her for a week or two, and then divorce her. So like this, the Chachamim said, if you're going to divorce a woman, you have to give her 200 zuz, which is expensive. So therefore, guys wouldn't just marry and divorce women. But here, you don't have that takana. We're not worried about him divorcing her because he's not allowed to divorce her. So therefore, there's no reason to make a takana of the ksuba. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda holds, Hanami mitzarla adam rahi. He can give her such tsar until she says, "Laibina lach, I don't want you." Right?
Isn't he dead?
Totally different ways of looking.
Isn't he dead? Isn't he dead?
No, but do we make him? He's dead eventually, right? But do we make him sign a ksuba when he marries her? Meaning, do we make him sign a ksuba when he marries her? So the Tanakama is saying, well, the whole point of a ksuba is that she doesn't get divorced, that he doesn't divorce her easily. So we're going to make him pay some money. But here he's not allowed to divorce her. So since he's not allowed to divorce her, so then why should we make a ksuba? That's his taina, right? And And who's the other one? Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says, no. The guy, what he could do is he could make her miserable. Right? He could make her miserable until she says, I can't live with him anymore. And now he's going to want, now he got his divorce. He got his divorce out the back door. So since he got his divorce out the back door, he would be fine. So that's what we say, no, make him give her money for a ksuba so that he is going to be, behave himself as a husband. Right? Yeah. Oh, okay. It's late already. Fine. Okay, I appreciate everybody tuning in early. I might have to do early tomorrow also. I'll let the other know earlier. But I appreciate the tuning in early. All right. Fine. Oh,
Tiago, you coming over here?
Who?
Are you coming over here now?
Can't hear you.
Are you coming over here?
I'm coming right now. Why?
Did you bring these kid that needs a ride?
Yeah, I think he was waiting here. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay, fine. I texted him. Okay, shkoya.
Yeah. All right. What? Yeah. All right. Okay. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Yeah.